Have you ever felt trapped in a whirlwind of worry? Like your mind just won't stop racing with endless what-ifs and worst-case scenarios? What if I told you there's a way to break free from this mental loop and reclaim your peace of mind? Today, we're diving into one of the most profound lessons from the legendary Carl Jung: how to overcome worry. Not temporarily, but forever. This isn't just another list of quick fixes or shallow advice. It's about understanding the roots of your anxiety and transforming your life in ways you never thought possible. Imagine living without the constant weight of doubt and fear, where every day feels lighter and more purposeful. Sounds impossible? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll uncover the truth about worry, why it's an illusion, how it controls you, and most importantly, how to break free. Jung's teachings will guide us on a journey to understand ourselves on a deeper level, rediscover inner peace, and embrace life as it unfolds. Before we dive in, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need this wisdom, and subscribe to the channel for more life-changing insights. If you feel inspired, consider supporting the channel through a super thanks or donation. It helps us bring you more meaningful content. Now, let's unlock the secrets to living worry-free. Starting right now, Carl Jung believed that worry is a trick of the mind, an illusion that distracts us from the present moment. This cycle of fear and doubt keeps us trapped in an unproductive state, preventing us from fully experiencing life. Jung's teachings challenge the notion that worry is a useful tool for preparation, instead suggesting it creates a false sense of control. This false sense arises because the mind convinces us that by endlessly contemplating potential outcomes, we are somehow protecting ourselves from harm. However, this is not the case. Worry robs us of clarity and energy, leaving us mentally exhausted and emotionally stuck. To break free from this pattern, Jung emphasized the importance of understanding the root causes of worry. One of his key concepts is the shadow, which represents the parts of ourselves we suppress or deny. These might include unresolved fears, insecurities, or emotions we would rather not confront. Worry often arises when these hidden aspects of ourselves demand attention. For example, someone who constantly worries about failure might be avoiding deeper fears rooted in past experiences. By facing these suppressed emotions, we can begin to dismantle the power they hold over us. Jung also highlighted how worry disconnects us from the present moment. The human mind has a tendency to project into the future, imagining worst-case scenarios that may never occur. This fixation not only amplifies anxiety, but also keeps us from living fully in the here and now. Think of how often people replay the same thoughts, worrying about things like job security, relationships, or health. These worries rarely lead to solutions. Instead, they create an endless loop of fear. Jung believed that observing these thoughts without judgment could help break their hold. When you recognize that these thoughts are merely stories created by your mind, not absolute truths, their power begins to fade. A key element of Jung's teachings is the concept of synchronicity, or meaningful coincidences. He suggested that life often unfolds in ways we cannot predict, and worry blinds us to these subtle but significant moments. For instance, have you ever been so consumed by worry that you missed an opportunity or failed to notice a solution right in front of you? Synchronicity reminds us to stay open to the flow of life, trusting that things will unfold as they are meant to. This trust is not about passivity, but rather about letting go of the need to control every aspect of life. It is about understanding that uncertainty is not inherently bad, but can be a space for growth and new possibilities. Trust is central to overcoming worry. Jung argued that true safety does not come from control, but from trusting yourself and the world around you. When you trust yourself, you develop the confidence to face challenges as they arise, knowing that you have the strength and resilience to handle them. For example, imagine a student worried about an upcoming exam. Rather than dwelling on every potential question they might not know, they could shift their focus to preparing effectively and trusting their ability to adapt to the test. Similarly, trusting the universe involves recognizing that even when things do not go as planned, they often lead to unexpected growth or opportunities. Jung's process of individuation, or becoming your true self, provides another pathway to breaking free from worry. Many people experience anxiety when they live out of alignment with their authentic selves. This misalignment often stems from societal expectations or pressure to conform to roles that do not reflect who they truly are. For example, a person working in a high-paying but unfulfilling job may feel constant anxiety about meeting performance standards. By reconnecting with their core values and pursuing a career that aligns with their passions, they can reduce the tension that fuels their worry. Individuation is about shedding these external layers and embracing the person you were meant to be. Another important idea Jung explored is the role of resistance in perpetuating worry. Resistance to uncertainty, change, or the unknown often creates tension and magnifies anxiety. The more we resist these aspects of life, the more stuck we feel. Jung advocated for surrender, which does not mean giving up, but rather letting go of the need to control. Imagine trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. Worry operates the same way. By accepting uncertainty and approaching life with curiosity rather than fear, we create space for transformation and growth. Worry is not just a personal experience. It is also a shared human condition. Jung's concept of the collective unconscious explains why certain fears and patterns of thinking feel universal. For instance, fears of failure, rejection, or loss are not unique to any one individual, but are part of a larger human story. Recognizing this can be liberating because it reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles. When we approach our worries with compassion rather than judgment, we can begin to heal these shared wounds. Jung also believed that worry often arises from a fear of losing our identity. People might worry about their roles, reputations, or sense of self. For example, a parent might worry about not meeting societal expectations, or a professional might fear losing their job. Jung taught that our true selves are not defined by these external markers. When we stop identifying with roles or achievements, the fear of losing them diminishes. This realization helps us see that our essence remains intact regardless of external circumstances. One of the most powerful insights Jung shared is that the answers we seek are already within us. Worry keeps us looking outward, searching for solutions in the external world. But true peace comes from connecting with our inner selves. This connection allows us to see beyond the stories our minds create and recognize our inherent strength and wholeness. For example, someone worrying about their financial future might realize that their anxiety stems not from their actual situation, but from a belief that they are not capable or resourceful enough. By shifting this perspective and trusting their ability to adapt, they can move forward with clarity and confidence. Letting go of worry is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice. There will be moments when worry creeps back in, and that is okay. The key is to notice it without judgment and gently guide yourself back to trust and presence. Over time, this practice becomes easier, and worry loses its grip on your life. For instance, if you find yourself worrying about an upcoming meeting, take a moment to ground yourself in the present. Remind yourself that you are prepared and capable, and that the outcome is not something you can entirely control. Ultimately, Jung's teachings remind us that worry is an illusion, a fog that obscures the richness of the present moment. When we let go of the idea that something is missing or that we are not enough, the fog lifts, revealing the wholeness and sweetness of life. By embracing this perspective, we free ourselves from the limitations of worry and open ourselves to a life filled with peace, clarity, and trust. Worry often feels deeply rooted in reality because it connects to our fears and insecurities. It masquerades as a form of control, convincing us that by obsessively thinking about potential outcomes, we are actively solving problems. However, Carl Jung's perspective challenges this perception, asserting that worry is not a solution but a mechanism that traps us in endless cycles of anxiety and doubt. This illusion of control keeps us mentally occupied, but rarely provides the clarity or resolution we seek. In truth, worry doesn't protect us from harm. It distracts us from taking meaningful action or fully living in the present moment. Jung emphasized that the key to breaking free from worry lies in understanding its roots. One of his central ideas, the concept of the shadow, offers valuable insight into why worry exerts such power over us. The shadow represents the parts of ourselves that we suppress or deny, our hidden fears, unresolved emotions, and vulnerabilities. These aspects of our psyche don't disappear just because we ignore them. Instead, they find other ways to manifest, often through persistent worry. For example, someone who constantly worries about being judged at work may actually be grappling with an underlying fear of inadequacy rooted in past experiences of failure or rejection. Recognizing this connection between worry and the shadow is the first step toward liberation. By acknowledging these suppressed emotions and fears, we can begin to confront them directly, reducing their power over our lives. Jung suggested that when we face these hidden parts of ourselves, they transform from overwhelming forces into manageable aspects of our psyche. This process requires courage and self-reflection, but it is essential for moving beyond the mental loops that worry creates. To illustrate, consider a common situation: a parent constantly worrying about their child's future. This worry might appear to stem from love and concern, but it could also be a projection of the parent's own unresolved anxieties about their past or feelings of inadequacy as a caregiver. By exploring the roots of their worry, the parent might uncover fears about not being good enough or failing to provide. Once these fears are brought into awareness, they can be addressed, allowing the parent to focus on nurturing their child in the present rather than being consumed by hypothetical scenarios. Jung also pointed out that worry thrives on our mind's tendency to project into the future. The human brain is wired to anticipate potential threats, a survival mechanism that served our ancestors well. However, in modern life, this ability often becomes counterproductive, as we imagine worst-case scenarios that may never come to pass. Instead of helping us prepare, this future-oriented thinking disconnects us from the present moment, where life is actually happening. For instance, someone worried about an upcoming presentation might spend hours replaying possible mistakes in their mind, only to perform well when the time comes. The worry did nothing to improve their performance. It only drained their energy and heightened their anxiety. Jung believed that observing our thoughts with detachment is a powerful way to break free from this cycle. By viewing our worries as temporary narratives rather than absolute truths, we can begin to see them for what they are: stories created by the mind. This shift in perspective allows us to disengage from the constant replay of fears and doubts, creating space for peace and clarity. For example, imagine a student worried about failing an exam. Instead of spiraling into fear, they might pause and remind themselves that their worry is just one possible narrative. This simple act of awareness can reduce the emotional intensity of their anxiety, enabling them to focus on studying effectively. Another important aspect of Jung's philosophy is his understanding of how worry connects to the human desire for control. Many people worry because they believe it helps them anticipate and manage potential challenges. However, this belief is often misguided. Worry creates an illusion of control, giving the impression that by thinking about every possible outcome, we are actively preventing bad things from happening. In reality, this mental exercise rarely changes the course of events. Instead, it leaves us feeling stuck and powerless. Consider a relatable example. Someone worrying about their financial situation, they might spend hours imagining worst-case scenarios, such as losing their job or being unable to pay bills. While these thoughts feel urgent, they often prevent the person from taking constructive action, like creating a budget or seeking financial advice. Jung would argue that this fixation on potential problems reflects deeper fears about security and self-worth. By addressing these underlying concerns, the person can shift their focus from unproductive worry to practical steps that improve their situation. Jung's insights also highlight the role of self-compassion in overcoming worry. When we recognize that worry often stems from unresolved fears, we can approach ourselves with kindness rather than judgment. This shift in attitude is transformative, as it allows us to see our worries not as failures or weaknesses, but as signals pointing to areas that need healing. For example, someone who worries excessively about their health might uncover a deeper fear of mortality or loss. By acknowledging and exploring these fears, they can begin to find peace, even in the face of uncertainty. Ultimately, Jung's teachings encourage us to view worry as an opportunity for growth rather than a burden to be endured. Each instance of worry provides a chance to delve deeper into our inner world, uncovering the fears and insecurities that shape our thoughts. This process requires patience and self-awareness, but it leads to a profound sense of freedom. When we understand that worry is an illusion, a projection of our unresolved emotions and need for control, we can begin to let go of its grip and embrace the present moment with greater clarity and confidence. Worry gains its power from the mind's tendency to fixate on either the future or the past. These imagined futures or unchangeable pasts become mental traps that distract us from the present, where life actually unfolds. Carl Jung believed that breaking free from worry requires grounding ourselves in the present moment, an idea that challenges the way many of us approach anxiety. Instead of viewing our thoughts as absolute truths, Jung taught that we should see them as fleeting stories constructed by the mind. This shift in perspective helps dissolve the grip that worry often holds over us. To better understand this, imagine carrying a heavy bag filled with fears about what might happen tomorrow or regrets about what has already occurred. The longer you carry this burden, the heavier it feels. And yet, the act of carrying it does nothing to change the contents of the bag. Putting it down symbolizes the practice of mindfulness, letting go of mental clutter and choosing to experience life as it is. This act of release isn't just metaphorical. It's a deliberate shift in focus from the abstract to the tangible, from the imagined to the real. Take, for example, a college student constantly worrying about their grades. They might spend hours ruminating on whether they'll fail a class or meet expectations. This mental loop often causes stress and prevents them from concentrating on their studies. By practicing mindfulness, the student could redirect their focus to the present moment, such as immersing themselves in the act of studying rather than being consumed by the fear of outcomes. This simple shift not only enhances their ability to perform, but also reduces the emotional toll of worry. Jung's emphasis on grounding ourselves in the present moment aligns with the idea that life happens here and now, not in the imagined what-ifs of tomorrow or the unchangeable realities of yesterday. The mind, however, loves to wander. It creates scenarios, builds narratives, and constructs entire worlds based on fears or hopes. While this ability to imagine and anticipate is a hallmark of human cognition, it can also lead to unnecessary suffering when left unchecked. Learning to observe these thoughts without judgment is one of the most powerful tools for breaking free from worry. Consider someone anxious about an upcoming job interview. Their mind may repeatedly replay potential questions, possible failures, and imagined rejections. They might even convince themselves that they are doomed to fail before the interview has even begun. This mental exercise, though exhausting, feels compelling because it gives the illusion of preparation. But Jung would argue that such preoccupation is counterproductive. Instead of living in this imagined future, they could focus on preparing meaningfully in the present, reviewing key points, practicing their responses, and ensuring they are well rested for the big day. By anchoring themselves in actionable steps, they not only improve their readiness, but also reduce the anxiety fueled by hypothetical scenarios. The power of awareness lies in its ability to create distance between us and our thoughts. Jung viewed thoughts as constructs of the mind, not as reflections of reality. This distinction is crucial because it allows us to engage with our thoughts more objectively. For instance, a person might think, "I'm going to embarrass myself during this presentation." Without awareness, this thought might spiral into a full-blown narrative of self-doubt. With awareness, however, they can recognize it as just a thought, a passing cloud in the sky of their mind, not an undeniable truth. Mindfulness, as Jung's teachings suggest, is not about suppressing thoughts, but about observing them without attachment. Imagine watching a river flow by. You see the water, acknowledge its movement, but you don't try to stop it or jump in. This is the essence of mindfulness, being present with your thoughts without becoming entangled in them. For example, a busy professional overwhelmed by deadlines might find themselves caught in a web of worries about performance and expectations. Instead of letting these worries dictate their actions, they could take a moment to breathe deeply, acknowledge their thoughts, and refocus on the task at hand. This practice doesn't eliminate challenges, but it changes how they are experienced, replacing panic with clarity, Grounding yourself in the present also means reconnecting with your senses. The present moment is rich with sensory experiences, sounds, sights, smells, and physical sensations that often go unnoticed when the mind is preoccupied. For instance, someone walking through a park while worrying about an argument they had earlier might miss the beauty of the trees, the sound of birds, or the warmth of the sun. By consciously bringing their attention to these sensory details, they can pull themselves out of their mental spiral and into the immediate reality of the moment. This practice not only reduces worry but also enhances appreciation for the simple joys of life. Another relatable example is the parent who worries incessantly about their child's future. They might dwell on questions like, will they get into a good college? Or what if they make bad decisions? This worry often detracts from their ability to enjoy the present moments with their child, such as playing together, sharing a meal, or simply talking about their day. By grounding themselves in these shared experiences, the parent can strengthen their relationship with their child and reduce the mental noise of hypothetical concerns. The concept of living in the present also challenges the notion that worry is a form of productivity. Many people believe that worrying about the future or dwelling on the past helps them prepare or learn. However, as Jung suggested, worry rarely leads to meaningful action. It creates an illusion of control while draining energy that could be used more effectively. Think of a person worried about their finances. They might spend hours imagining worst-case scenarios, losing their job, falling into debt, or being unable to provide for their family. This mental exercise doesn't change their financial situation. It only adds to their stress. Instead, focusing on the present, such as creating a budget or exploring additional income opportunities, offers a more constructive approach. The practice of mindfulness doesn't require grand gestures or major life changes. It can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to focus on your breath, notice the sensations in your body, or observe the thoughts passing through your mind. These small acts of awareness create a ripple effect, gradually weakening the grip of worry and strengthening your ability to remain present. For example, a student preparing for exams might set aside 5 minutes each morning to sit quietly and focus on their breathing. This practice helps them start the day with a clear mind, making it easier to study effectively without being overwhelmed by stress. In the end, the power of awareness lies in its ability to transform how we experience life. By grounding ourselves in the present, we reclaim the energy and focus that worry so often steals from us. We learn to see our thoughts not as burdens to bear, but as fleeting phenomena that come and go. This shift in perspective doesn't just reduce anxiety. It opens the door to a deeper sense of peace and presence, allowing us to fully engage with the richness of each moment. Carl Jung's concept of synchronicity highlights the idea that life often unfolds in ways that defy logical explanation. These meaningful coincidences, as Jung called them, act as subtle signs guiding us in moments of uncertainty. However, worry frequently blinds us to these signs. When we are consumed by anxiety, our focus narrows to potential problems and worst-case scenarios, leaving little room to notice the unexpected opportunities or resolutions that may arise. Jung believed that trusting the flow of life can help us replace anxiety with a sense of openness, allowing us to embrace the possibilities inherent in uncertainty. Synchronicity often manifests in everyday experiences. Consider someone searching for a new job who happens to overhear a conversation about an opportunity that aligns perfectly with their skills. Or think of a person debating whether to make a significant life change who suddenly encounters someone who has faced a similar decision and offers valuable insight. These moments might seem coincidental, but Jung viewed them as meaningful patterns that emerge when we are open to life's natural flow. Worry, however, keeps us so focused on imagined problems that we often fail to recognize these serendipitous events. Trusting life's flow requires us to release the need for constant control. Many people approach uncertainty with resistance, believing that meticulous planning and worry will shield them from unfavorable outcomes. Yet, as Jung suggested, this attempt to control life often backfires, creating more stress and limiting our ability to adapt. For instance, a student preparing for college applications might obsess over every detail, worrying endlessly about their chances of acceptance. This hyper-focus on outcomes not only increases anxiety, but also hinders their ability to appreciate the present moment or explore alternative paths that might arise. By trusting that life will unfold as it should, the student can channel their energy into meaningful preparation without being paralyzed by fear. Trusting oneself is just as important as trusting the flow of life. Cultivating self-confidence allows us to navigate challenges with resilience, knowing that we can handle whatever comes our way. This doesn't mean ignoring difficulties or pretending that uncertainty doesn't exist. Instead, it means shifting our mindset from fearing the unknown to viewing it as a space for growth and opportunity. For example, imagine someone offered a promotion at work that requires stepping into a leadership role they've never experienced. Their initial reaction might be fear, worrying they're not capable or qualified enough. However, by trusting in their ability to learn and adapt, they can approach the opportunity with confidence and openness, ultimately growing from the experience. Trusting oneself also involves letting go of the belief that every decision must lead to a perfect outcome. Many people delay decisions because they fear making the wrong choice. Jung's teachings encourage us to trust that even imperfect decisions contribute to our growth. A relatable example is someone deciding whether to move to a new city. They might agonize over potential downsides, such as leaving friends behind or facing career uncertainty. Yet, by trusting their instincts and understanding that no choice is entirely without challenges, they can embrace the move as an opportunity for growth and new experiences. Synchronicity becomes more apparent when we cultivate this sense of trust. When we stop fixating on controlling every aspect of our lives, we become more attuned to the subtle ways the universe guides us. Think about someone who misses a train, only to meet a future business partner while waiting for the next one. In the moment, missing the train might seem like a setback, but from a broader perspective, it reveals itself as an opportunity. These moments remind us that life often operates beyond our immediate understanding and that releasing control can lead to outcomes we never imagined. One powerful aspect of Jung's idea of synchronicity is its ability to shift our relationship with uncertainty. Uncertainty is often viewed as a source of fear, something to be avoided or resolved as quickly as possible. However, Jung saw uncertainty as a fertile ground for growth and creativity. When we embrace uncertainty instead of resisting it, we create space for new opportunities to emerge. For example, an artist facing a creative block might initially feel overwhelmed by uncertainty about their work's direction. By trusting the creative process and remaining open to inspiration, they might stumble upon a new technique or idea that transforms their art in unexpected ways. This shift in perspective can also apply to relationships. People often worry about how others perceive them or whether their relationships will last. This preoccupation with control can lead to overanalyzing every interaction or attempting to force connections. Jung's teachings suggest that by trusting the natural flow of relationships, we can cultivate more authentic and meaningful connections. For instance, someone worried about the future of a friendship might feel tempted to overcompensate by constantly seeking reassurance. However, by trusting that the friendship will evolve naturally, they can focus on enjoying the present moments of connection rather than being consumed by fear of loss. Jung's concept of synchronicity also emphasizes the importance of staying present. When we're caught up in worry, we often miss the subtle cues and opportunities around us. A classic example is someone worried about their career path who fails to notice the advice or encouragement offered by a mentor or colleague. By remaining present and open, we increase our awareness of these meaningful coincidences and allow them to guide us. This doesn't mean passively waiting for things to happen, but rather engaging with life in a way that invites serendipity. Trusting the flow of life doesn't eliminate challenges or guarantee favorable outcomes, but it changes how we experience them. Instead of approaching difficulties with resistance, we can view them as opportunities for growth and transformation. For example, someone who unexpectedly loses their job might initially feel overwhelmed by worry. Yet, by trusting that this setback could lead to new opportunities, they might discover a career path that aligns more closely with their passions or values. This perspective shift doesn't minimize the difficulty of the situation, but reframes it as part of a larger journey. Ultimately, Jung's ideas about synchronicity and trust challenge us to let go of our need for certainty and control. By embracing the unpredictability of life, we open ourselves to experiences and opportunities that might otherwise go unnoticed. Trusting ourselves and the flow of life allows us to navigate uncertainty with resilience and grace, transforming fear into openness and anxiety into possibility. These concepts remind us that life is not something to be mastered or controlled, but something to be experienced and embraced, one meaningful moment at a time. Worry frequently stems from a deep sense of misalignment with our authentic selves. Carl Jung's process of individuation addresses this disconnect by encouraging individuals to shed societal expectations and rediscover their true nature. When people live inauthentically, they often experience a persistent tension between who they are and who they think they are supposed to be. This tension fuels anxiety and worry as they strive to meet external pressures and conform to roles that don't resonate with their core values or desires. Individuation offers a path to freedom from this cycle by helping individuals align their actions, choices, and lives with their authentic selves. Consider the example of a young professional who feels trapped in a high-paying corporate job that doesn't fulfill them. They may have chosen this path due to societal or familial expectations, believing that success is defined by financial stability or prestige. However, this disconnection from their passions creates a constant undercurrent of worry. They might find themselves anxious about performance, future promotions, or the potential consequences of leaving the job. By engaging in the process of individuation, they can begin to explore what truly matters to them. Perhaps they discover a passion for teaching or a creative pursuit they've ignored for years. Embracing their individuality allows them to make decisions that align with their true self, diminishing the fear of judgment from others and easing the worry that stems from living a life that feels inauthentic. The process of individuation is not about rejecting societal norms outright, but about critically examining which expectations serve our growth and which do not. Many people adopt roles or behaviors because they believe they are necessary to gain acceptance or approval. For example, a parent might worry excessively about being seen as a perfect caregiver, juggling work, household responsibilities, and their children's needs. This self-imposed pressure often stems from societal narratives about what it means to be a good parent. By reflecting on their own values and priorities, the parent might realize that being present and emotionally available for their children is more important than meeting every external standard. Letting go of these unrealistic expectations reduces their anxiety and allows them to focus on what truly matters. Authentic living also helps reduce worry because it eliminates the need for constant validation from others. People often feel anxious when they measure their worth against external benchmarks, such as career success, social status, or material possessions. This reliance on external validation creates a fragile sense of self-worth, easily shaken by setbacks or criticism. Jung's teachings remind us that true confidence comes from within, from knowing and accepting who we are. Imagine someone who worries about not being liked by their peers. This fear might lead them to suppress their opinions or mimic behaviors they think others will approve of. Over time, this inauthenticity can feel draining and unfulfilling. By embracing their true self and expressing their genuine thoughts and feelings, they not only reduce their anxiety but also attract more meaningful and supportive relationships. A significant part of individuation involves confronting the parts of ourselves we have neglected or suppressed. Jung referred to this as integrating the shadow, which includes the fears, desires, and aspects of our personality that we might find uncomfortable or socially unacceptable. For instance, someone who has always prioritized being agreeable might suppress feelings of anger or frustration, leading to worry about conflict or confrontation. By acknowledging and accepting these emotions as natural and valid, they can address issues directly instead of internalizing them as anxiety. This integration of the shadow allows them to live more authentically and reduces the mental strain of trying to maintain a facade. Individuation also encourages people to embrace their imperfections, which can significantly reduce worry. Many individuals worry because they strive for an unattainable ideal of perfection in their personal or professional lives. A student might fret over every exam or assignment, fearing that anything less than a perfect score will reflect poorly on their abilities. This perfectionism often stems from a fear of failure or rejection. Jung's teachings suggest that by accepting our imperfections and viewing mistakes as opportunities for growth, we can release the pressure to perform flawlessly. For the student, this might mean focusing on learning and personal improvement rather than obsessing over grades. This shift in perspective not only eases worry but also fosters a healthier relationship with challenges and setbacks. Authentic living also involves making choices that align with one's values, even when those choices are unconventional or risky. For example, someone might worry about pursuing a career in the arts because it doesn't offer the same financial security as more traditional paths. However, denying their passion for creativity to follow a safer route might lead to long-term dissatisfaction and chronic anxiety. By embracing their artistic ambitions and finding ways to make them sustainable, they can reduce the internal conflict that fuels their worry. While this path may still involve challenges, the alignment with their true self provides a sense of purpose and fulfillment that outweighs the uncertainties. Another relatable example is the social anxiety that arises when people try to conform to others' expectations in social settings. Someone might worry about saying the wrong thing at a party or being judged for their appearance. This anxiety often comes from prioritizing how others perceive them over how they feel about themselves. Jung's emphasis on individuation encourages people to shift their focus inward, valuing their own authenticity over external approval. By being true to themselves in social interactions, they can build more genuine connections and let go of the constant worry about meeting others' standards. Living authentically also requires embracing change and letting go of roles that no longer serve us. People often worry about transitioning to new stages in life, such as changing careers, ending relationships, or moving to a new city. These worries stem from the fear of the unknown and the comfort of familiar routines. Jung believed that individuation involves continuous growth and adaptation, which means being willing to let go of old identities to make room for new possibilities. For instance, someone who has spent years in a demanding corporate role might worry about stepping away to start their own business. While the transition might be daunting, aligning with their true goals and values ultimately brings a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment than clinging to a role that feels restrictive or inauthentic. Jung's process of individuation reminds us that the root of much worry lies in resistance to who we truly are. By accepting and embracing our individuality, we free ourselves from the constant need to fit into predefined roles or meet external expectations. This alignment with our authentic selves reduces the mental and emotional strain that worry imposes. When we stop trying to be everything to everyone and start focusing on living in harmony with our values and passions, we create space for genuine peace and contentment. A parent who worries excessively about their child's future often finds themselves consumed by fears about education, career paths, or the potential challenges their child might face. This anxiety can lead to overbearing behavior, as the parent attempts to micromanage every aspect of the child's life, from extracurricular activities to social interactions. However, this approach can backfire, creating a strained relationship and stifling the child's independence. By learning to trust their instincts and focusing on fostering a supportive, open relationship, the parent can shift their energy from control to connection. For example, instead of obsessively planning every detail of their child's academic path, they might choose to spend more time listening to their child's interests and encouraging their passions. This change not only alleviates the parent's worry, but also empowers the child to take ownership of their journey, fostering resilience and confidence. The story of the perfectionist artist offers a different lens on how inner fears manifest and can be addressed. An artist paralyzed by the fear of failure often struggles to create, worrying that their work will never measure up to expectations. This fear usually stems from deeply rooted feelings of inadequacy, often traced back to childhood experiences. Perhaps they were criticized for their creative efforts or taught that success is defined by external validation. By engaging in shadow work, the artist can confront these fears directly, acknowledging their origins and understanding their influence on current behavior. This process of self-discovery liberates the artist from the invisible chains of perfectionism, allowing them to experiment and create with authenticity. For instance, they might begin by setting aside the goal of producing a masterpiece and instead focus on exploring new techniques or expressing their emotions without judgment. This shift transforms their creative process from a source of anxiety into a space of freedom and growth. The overthinker provides a relatable example of how incessant analysis can create mental noise that drowns out clarity. A professional burdened by constant overthinking might spend hours replaying past conversations, second-guessing decisions, or anticipating every possible outcome of a project. This mental loop often leads to paralysis, where no action feels entirely safe or right. Embracing mindfulness offers a way out of this cycle. By practicing presence, the overthinker learns to observe their thoughts without becoming entangled in them. For example, during a workday, they might pause for a few minutes to focus on their breath or bring their attention to the physical sensations of their surroundings. These moments of mindfulness help quiet the mental chatter, making space for clarity and purposeful action. Over time, the professional develops greater trust in their judgment, realizing that overthinking rarely provides the answers they seek. These stories illustrate universal struggles and the transformative potential of self-awareness and intentional change. The worried parent, the perfectionist artist, and the overthinker each represent aspects of ourselves that we encounter in different contexts. By addressing the root causes of their anxiety, whether it's the need for control, the fear of inadequacy, or the tendency to overanalyze, they find ways to move beyond worry and embrace a more fulfilling approach to life. These examples resonate because they show that transformation doesn't require perfection or drastic measures. It begins with small, deliberate steps toward trust, authenticity, and presence. Mindfulness is one of the most transformative practices when it comes to managing worry. It involves observing your thoughts and emotions without judgment, creating a space where you can disengage from the endless loops of anxiety. Many people find themselves stuck in cycles of worry because they treat their thoughts as absolute truths rather than fleeting mental constructs. For instance, a student worried about an upcoming exam might repeatedly think, "I'm going to fail," interpreting this thought as a fact rather than a fear. Practicing mindfulness allows them to acknowledge the thought without attaching to it, recognizing it as just one of many possible scenarios. By redirecting their focus to the present moment, such as their current study efforts, or even the rhythm of their breathing, they can break free from the mental noise and approach the situation with greater clarity. Shadow work complements mindfulness by diving deeper into the origins of worry. This practice, rooted in Carl Jung's teachings, involves identifying and addressing the fears and insecurities we often suppress. Many of our worries are projections of unresolved experiences or emotions we've hidden from ourselves. For example, someone who constantly worries about being judged in social settings might discover that this fear stems from childhood instances of ridicule or rejection. By bringing these suppressed memories and emotions into the light, they can begin to process and heal them. This doesn't mean the fear disappears overnight, but it loses its grip over time. A practical approach to shadow work might include journaling about recurring worries, examining their deeper origins, and considering how these fears might influence current behavior. This process helps transform what once felt overwhelming into manageable insights. Trust is another essential lesson for overcoming worry. It's about cultivating confidence in your ability to adapt and grow, even in the face of challenges. Many people worry because they don't trust themselves to handle uncertain situations. Consider a professional facing a career transition. They might worry about whether they'll succeed in a new role, doubting their skills or adaptability. Developing trust involves acknowledging past instances where they've navigated difficulties successfully and reminding themselves that they can do so again. Trust doesn't guarantee that challenges will disappear, but it shifts the focus from fear of failure to belief in resilience. This mindset not only reduces anxiety but also empowers individuals to approach opportunities with a sense of courage and openness. Surrender is perhaps one of the most difficult but liberating practices. It involves letting go of the need to control every outcome and accepting that not everything is within our power. Many people resist surrender because they equate it with passivity or defeat. However, Surrender is not about giving up, it's about recognizing where your influence ends and trusting the flow of life beyond that point. For example, a parent might worry endlessly about their child's future, trying to control every aspect of their upbringing to ensure success. While guidance and support are essential, attempting to control every variable often leads to frustration and strained relationships. Surrendering means doing your best in the areas you can control while accepting that the rest is out of your hands. This shift alleviates the tension of over-responsibility and creates space for trust in the natural unfolding of events. Embracing uncertainty is a mindset that turns fear of the unknown into a space for possibilities. Many people view uncertainty as something to avoid, associating it with risk or failure. However, uncertainty is also where growth, creativity, and new opportunities emerge. Think of someone considering a move to a new city for a job. They might worry about leaving their comfort zone, fearing loneliness or professional challenges. Yet, by embracing uncertainty, they open themselves to the potential for personal growth, new connections, and unexpected experiences. Viewing uncertainty as a blank canvas rather than a void of fear changes the narrative, allowing individuals to step into the unknown with curiosity and optimism. These lessons are interconnected and reinforce one another. Mindfulness helps you notice your worries, creating the awareness needed for shadow work to uncover deeper fears. Shadow work builds the foundation for trust by addressing insecurities that undermine self-belief. Trust, in turn, makes surrender possible, as you gain confidence in your ability to navigate life's challenges. Finally, surrender and trust allow you to embrace uncertainty, recognizing it as a source of potential rather than a threat. Together, these practices form a holistic approach to breaking free from worry, replacing anxiety with clarity, courage, and peace. Each step is a practice, not a destination, requiring patience and commitment. But the rewards are profound: a life lived with greater authenticity and presence. Worry frequently arises from a sense of incompleteness, a lingering feeling that something essential is missing from our lives. This perceived gap often leads us to question our worth, our decisions, or even the direction of our existence. Carl Jung's teachings remind us that this sense of disconnection is an illusion, one created by the mind's tendency to dwell on fears, insecurities, and imagined futures. These fears are not rooted in truth, but in our perception of inadequacy. When we align with our deeper selves, our authentic nature, we can see through this illusion and begin to dissolve worry, reclaiming the inner peace that has always been within us. The process of letting go of worry requires self-awareness and intentional practice. It begins with recognizing worry for what it is, a mental construct, not an inevitable reality. For example, imagine someone constantly worrying about being judged by others. This fear often reflects an inner disconnect, where they place more value on external validation than their own sense of self-worth. By addressing this internal imbalance and reconnecting with their authentic self, they can shift their focus away from external opinions and toward their intrinsic values. Over time, this alignment diminishes the power of worry, as the individual begins to trust their inner compass rather than being swayed by external uncertainties. Letting go of worry is not an overnight transformation. It is a continuous practice, much like building a muscle. Each step you take, whether it's noticing a moment of worry, pausing to breathe, or consciously choosing not to dwell on a fear, strengthens your ability to live in alignment with your true self. For instance, a professional who frequently worries about making mistakes at work might begin by observing their thoughts without judgment. Instead of succumbing to the fear, they can remind themselves that mistakes are part of growth and that their value isn't diminished by imperfection. This subtle but consistent redirection of thought begins to loosen the grip of anxiety, allowing them to approach their work with greater clarity and confidence. Over time, as these practices become habits, worry loses its hold. Instead of feeling consumed by fear, you cultivate a sense of clarity and calm. This shift isn't just about reducing anxiety. It's about transforming your relationship with life itself. Imagine a parent who has spent years worrying about their child's future. By practicing trust and mindfulness, they learn to focus on the present, appreciating the moments they share with their child rather than fixating on hypothetical scenarios. This change not only enriches their relationship, but also fosters a deeper sense of peace, as they realize they cannot control everything but can fully experience what is within their reach. Trust plays a crucial role in this transformation. Trusting yourself means believing in your ability to handle whatever challenges arise. It doesn't mean ignoring difficulties, but facing them with the confidence that you have the strength to navigate through them. For example, someone starting a new business might worry about failure, doubting whether they're capable of succeeding. By cultivating trust in their resilience and problem-solving abilities, they can redirect their energy from worry to action, focusing on the steps they can take to build their venture. This trust creates a foundation of confidence that grows stronger with each challenge overcome. Trusting life itself is equally important. Many people worry because they resist the uncertainty of the future, believing that control is the only path to safety. Jung's teachings encourage a different perspective, trusting the unfolding of life and embracing its natural flow. Consider someone who has lost their job unexpectedly. The initial reaction might be panic and worry about financial stability. However, by trusting that this moment of uncertainty could lead to new opportunities, they open themselves to possibilities they might have otherwise dismissed. Perhaps they discover a career path more aligned with their passions or develop skills they never had the chance to explore. This trust doesn't eliminate challenges, but reframes them as part of a larger journey. Worry often thrives on the illusion of time, the belief that the future holds all the answers, or that the past defines who we are. By staying present, we dissolve this illusion and reconnect with the reality of now. Imagine carrying a heavy bag filled with fears about the future and regrets about the past. The longer you carry it, the more exhausting it becomes. Letting go of worry is like setting that bag down, freeing yourself to move forward without its weight. This act of release doesn't erase the past or guarantee a perfect future, but it allows you to experience the present fully, where life truly exists. Inner peace doesn't mean living a life free of challenges. It means approaching those challenges with a sense of calm and clarity. For instance, a student preparing for a major exam might feel overwhelmed by worry about whether they'll succeed. Instead of succumbing to this fear, they can focus on the present moment, studying effectively, taking breaks to recharge, and reminding themselves of past successes. This shift from worry to action not only improves their performance, but also fosters a sense of confidence that extends beyond the exam. Living authentically is the ultimate antidote to worry. When you align with your true self, you no longer feel the need to conform to external expectations or live according to others' definitions of success. This alignment reduces the internal conflict that fuels anxiety, replacing it with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. For example, someone pursuing a creative passion despite societal pressure to choose a more practical career might initially face doubts and fears. However, by staying true to their values and trusting their path, they discover a deeper satisfaction that far outweighs the uncertainty they once feared. Letting go of worry also involves embracing imperfection. Many people worry because they hold themselves to unrealistic standards, fearing that any deviation from perfection will lead to failure. Jung's teachings remind us that imperfection is not a flaw, but an essential part of being human. By accepting our limitations and viewing mistakes as opportunities for growth, we release the pressure to perform flawlessly. This acceptance creates space for self-compassion, which is a powerful antidote to worry. The journey toward freedom from worry is not linear, and that's okay. There will be moments when worry creeps back in, but each instance is an opportunity to practice the tools you've developed: mindfulness, trust, surrender, and alignment with your true self. Over time, these practices become second nature, and the grip of worry loosens. You find yourself approaching life with greater ease, clarity, and confidence, no longer held back by the fears and illusions that once dominated your thoughts. This transformation is not about becoming someone new, but about rediscovering who you've always been. When you align with your deeper self and embrace life as it unfolds, you realize that the peace you've been seeking has been within you all along. Letting go of worry is not about avoiding challenges, but about meeting them with a sense of trust and presence, knowing that you are equipped to navigate whatever comes your way. With time and practice, worry gives way to a life of clarity, confidence, and calm, a life lived in alignment with your truest self. And there you have it, the timeless wisdom of Carl Jung, showing us how to let go of worry and rediscover the freedom of living authentically. Think about it. What if your worries weren't facts but illusions? What if, by reconnecting with your deeper self and embracing life's uncertainties, you could finally feel at peace? Remember, letting go of worry isn't a one-time event. It's a practice, a journey that strengthens with every small step you take. Whether it's noticing your thoughts without judgment, facing your inner fears through shadow work, or learning to trust the flow of life, every effort brings you closer to a life of clarity, confidence, and calm. If this resonated with you, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and experiences. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found value in today's video, and share it with someone who might need this message. Subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into transformative ideas. And if you'd like to support our work, consider donating through the Super Thanks feature. Your support means the world to us and helps us create even more powerful content. Until next time, remember, life is happening right now, in this moment. Let go of the mental noise, trust the process, and embrace the freedom of living authentically. I'll see you in the next video.